So we're on episode 3 of Welcome to Real Estate podcast. I'm tired. So it's been a long day in real estate, right? So we're here today with Jessica Diaz of My Good Agent. All right, Jess. So we're going to talk a little bit more about your journey in real estate. So let's start with how you got into real estate.
Okay. So, ironically, very unwillingly, I went to school for nursing. I, went straight out of high school, and I was always kind of taught, like, you have to kind of do the whole shenanigan of going to school and going into a career and being somebody, basically. When my dad ended up getting his contractor license, and that's how he, it kind of began. He asked me to get my realtor license so we can potentially, kind of start flipping and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I got into real estate.
Right. So you started out part-time, obviously. So you went into nursing full-time. I've been breaking your stones for years to just go full-time in real estate, right? Like, nursing is a great career, but it's long hours, it's tiring, you got to deal with, unfortunately, people that are very sick are also very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure you experienced a lot of that.
Yep. I think the hardest part definitely was I was already like 2 or 3 years into school that it just kind of felt like I couldn't just let that go.
Right.
Which is why I began in nursing first and kind of skedaddled myself into real estate little by little. But then I realized that I discovered more of a passion for real estate than I did for nursing.
And that's fine. And I I think, did you ever feel like you're going to be judged on that?
Yes.
Was that a big part of the struggle of going into real estate full time?
Yes. I think potentially, like when you think of a nurse and you compare it to real estate, I mean, looking from the outside and not really knowing the industry, I think a lot of people think, you're a nurse, you're educated, you're making tons of money, you have a good life. I think when people think real estate, they have this stigma of like, it's not guaranteed money, or, you're not going to make it, or
No, it's not.
It's not. No, it's not. Like you like 100% have to have a drive to like do real estate. But I think that, it's kind of like, I know this is such a weird comparison, but like, when you have this dream to like make music and you want to be an artist, you want to be famous, it's somewhat similar to that, where I feel like you kind of have to put the effort into it. And that's I guess, I don't know how to say this. You can cut this off, right?
No.
Wait, you really can't?
No, we're on a podcast. This is all out there. Jess is failing right now, guys.
I 100% am.
We get where you're going with it. So
you understand? Like,
yeah,
I can't, like,
you didn't have the passion for nursing.
No.
And that's okay.
100%.
Yeah.
So, ironically, I was actually just talking to my dad about this yesterday. Since I was a little girl, I always kind of had that motivation to like just be a salesperson. Like, I kid you not, I was like 5 or 6 years old, like making these earrings off of clay, like selling them for $1 a piece to like, my friends and family and things like that. So I just felt like I always had that drive to, I don't know, to sell.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it in words.
Nursing's the opposite, It's look, I mean, we've all been sick. We've all been to the hospital. All been to doctors, and I think everybody has the same feeling of that industry, right? So like, it's well needed, but it's also very well targeted.
100%.
And it's real estate's one of those things, right? So you got into it. You started at EXP, right? So that was your first brokerage. So just coming into it as a new agent, went to a cloud-based brokerage that realistically, broker support and agent support really isn't top of their mind. Like, that's not their model, right? So let's go into that kind of a little bit. So, and it's not, you're not shitting on EXP here. It's strictly, hey, this is your experience. We've all had experiences at brokerages. I had 2 brokers before I went on my own. So what was it for you when you got into the business and went to EXP? What was that turning point for you?
So I originally chose EXP because, I interviewed with a ton of brokerages and everybody, offered me kind of the same, I guess, blueprint of things. The difference was, to me, the commission how it was kind of split, the
Right.
broker split and all of that. That's what EXP, like, that's why it stood out to me the most. Unfortunately, in my personal experience, I feel like EXP is not really a place for newer agents. Because it's have you ever played Sims?
No, I don't know what that is.
No, that one, like, it's a game, it's an online game, and it's like characters, and it's a world, and you have a house, and you live basically a virtual life.
Right.
So with that being said, to talk to a broker, things like that, you kind of have to log on to this program. I don't remember what it was called, and it just makes it a little more difficult. Coming in as a newer agent, my first year I sold, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 houses. I had an experience where one of the houses, the night before, one of the pipes bursted.
Mm.
So there's water everywhere. My clients didn't want to do a final walkthrough. They were overwhelmed, tired with the whole process. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go do it. So I went. Thank God I did. Water everywhere. No support. Who do I call? It's like 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night when I did the walkthrough the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Who do I call? I had no idea who to call.
Right.
So here I am going through my list of people I literally went to real estate school with, trying to figure out who to call. I'm a new agent. It's like my second transaction. I don't know who to call.
And that's difficult, right? And so did that deal end up closing?
It did.
It did.
It did. My clients were so frustrated that they, took the house the way it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they get anything
They
out of
got credit.
They got a credit.
They
Okay.
got credit, and they just wanted to close, and
Wow.
they ended up fixing the entire basement.
You still talk to that client?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
That's good.
They're family
So they
friends.
don't blame you.
No, of course
Oh,
not.
yeah, good.
No.
A lot of people, this is so true, but even though that's never our fault, some reason we get blamed for all this stuff by a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
like, I got nothing to do with that house and what's going on with that house. But there's so many emotions in buying a property that people just want to put that emotion onto somebody else. So we're the easiest target because a lot of times we're the unbiased party that, our emotions aren't as tied to it,
Yeah.
So it's tough. And, I know you're very emotional with your clients. Yeah. You're very,
How many times have I literally called you crying, saying, hey, this happened? Or I get really, really emotional with my clients. I personally really put my heart out with when I sell. To me, it's not
Right.
just the purchase that you're buying. It's really a long life friendship with you. I try to take care of you as best as I can. I have clients that I've sold houses to like years ago who still call me, hey, how are you? Merry Christmas,
great.
Happy New Year's. It's amazing. Yeah.
So, all right. So at this point, you're at EXP, you did a couple deals. And obviously, how we met was I had a listing. You put an offer in on that listing, and you got your deal got rejected. You got outbid. And the thing was, I kind of coached you through that offer. I was like, hey, put this offer in, and your clients just want to do it.
Didn't have the training.
Yeah.
I didn't have the training.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to India.
Mm.
She was actually my mentor at EXP. She is amazing and phenomenal at what she does. But unfortunately, sometimes I was afraid to ask. I was afraid to bother her.
Also, not her.
Training.
It's not her responsibility either.
No.
At the end of the day, like, she's not the broker. She's not getting paid for that. And unless you're an active broker who is going through the compliance and all those things, even though she might have known, most mentors aren't going to know how to navigate a lot of those back end stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't care what anybody says, and I learned it the hard way. Being a broker, there's so much more to navigate. And unless you're doing it, you'll never know.
Yeah.
And you can just be like, being a broker is easy. It's the hardest thing in the world.
It's a big responsibility.
Huge responsibility.
Yeah.
But on that deal, I was trying to coach you through, how to put the offer in, because I'm like, listen, like, we had just dropped the price on it tremendously. Seller I told the seller it was overpriced. And, I was like, listen, I liked, you called me. I liked how you spoke. You're like, hey, listen, like, what do I need to do? And I was like, hey, if you bring this offer to the table, I'm sure the seller will entertain it. and your client didn't want to do it, and someone brought that offer. So that's why
Good.
it happens every time, right? And you know, but then I think you followed me on Instagram, or vice versa. It might have been, I don't remember, but this is 4 years ago, almost, right? So
5 years.
almost 5 years. Jeez,
Mhm.
I'm getting old.
I was 21 going to 22.
Mm,
So I was
yeah,
I was
like,
really young. I was definitely very young. I was still, I think, in nursing school at that point.
wow,
Yeah, so I was
wow.
kind of maneuvering, end of nursing school, the NCLEX, and then, kind of getting myself into real estate. So it was a lot.
That is a lot. So at that point, I think like if not even like a long time after, like right after I saw you put up a story on Instagram, you're like, anybody on a team, message me, I'm interested, right? Because you were looking for what you thought was a new agent is you got to go join a team because you're going to get all the support that you weren't going to get from a broker, because at this point at EXP, you weren't getting broker support.
It honestly kind of felt like, I know this is like weird to compare it to nursing, but it kind of felt like I was just let go.
Right.
Like, hey, you're hired. We're going to offer you A, B, and C. And then once I was hired, it was kind of like, you're on your own type of thing. So that's actually why I put that story up on Instagram, because I felt like maybe if I joined a team, I could have, that support, those team members to help me and, grow together as a team.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
And I was like, yo, don't join a team.
I know. I know. You were like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Like, come talk to me.
Don't do it.
Let's talk, right? And I was newer in the broker world, right? I was maybe a year into being a broker, but I was very successful in real estate quick. And and I started at 24, so I was right around I was a little older than you, right? So it was like I was like, listen, I've navigated those things. Just so you came and met me. You met when we were Heelsman Homes and not My Good Agent.
Yeah.
And you know, all right. So in your head as a new agent that's like going to meet this broker that you didn't know, what was your thought process of, all right, I'm ready to make a change? Because I want to talk about this for a second. A lot of new agents get first broker syndrome. First broker syndrome is when agents get scared to leave their broker because they think they can't, because they got a ICA agreement, that the contract that they think they're locked to, which they're not, right? For the most part, they're probably not.
Yeah.
99% of them you can leave.
Yeah.
Right? They get scared, or like, I want to say like scared, but yeah, scared's probably the right word, but they kind of get like, what, like, are they going to get mad at me for leaving? Right? Are they going to feel some toward away towards me? And the reality is when you have the mindset business to business, which it is,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about any of those emotions. But I would say a good 80% of agents that come in get the first broker syndrome. So as a new agent that's like, hey, I realize I need some help. When you came and met me, what was your thought process?
Um, I feel like I realized that I liked real estate and I liked showing homes and I liked being there for, one of people's biggest milestones in life. And I wanted to grow. I had that drive to grow, but I felt like I couldn't achieve it at EXP, which, with all due respect, I'm sure EXP is great for other agents. It just wasn't the right place for me. Which that's kind of what switched in my mind. Like, I need to make a change. Otherwise, I feel like I'm not going to be able to grow.
That's very mature as a newer agent. That's very mature thinking. So, all right. So, how many brokerages did you interview before you decided to join Heelsman Homes?
I want to say a good like four
Oh,
or
that many.
five. Yeah,
Wow.
I definitely
All
did
right.
my feet everywhere. I know. I wanted to really see kind of what was out there. That's just who I am. Like, I like to explore my options. You know me.
Yeah.
I literally will ask
Jeff,
a million questions.
Jeff still reaches out to other brokerages, but we won't talk about that. And then she don't know how to say no to them either.
I feel bad.
Just Jess is the reason why we won't talk about it. We'll just leave it be.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because you can't say no.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like, I don't know.
You're nice.
I am.
You're really
I am.
nice. I mean, listen, no is one of the most powerful things you could do as a person, not just in business, but as a person, right? Like, I tell all you guys, like, if you're like, hey, listen, if you're not if you outgrown me as a broker and my good agent, listen, the door's there.
That's a super mature thing to say because a lot of people would not put themselves in that situation.
No, and the funny thing about it is people probably think the opposite of me. They probably because well, I'm just saying, like other people outside our brokers,
Yeah.
because I'm very prominent on the internet, and I kind of like get sharky with our own agents. I don't get sharky with other agents.
Yeah.
So like, I see another broker comment on your stuff, I'll go be petty and like comment on it too, right? And I do
Yes,
that.
Cody.
I do that for fun, honestly, because I want other brokers to know that I'm aware, right?
Yeah.
And look, we're all as brokers, we're all in this business to get as many agents as possible, right?
Yeah.
So we're all out there poaching, right? I just do it a little bit differently. I try to build the relationship. I try to nurture and be that person's broker before I'm their broker.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of brokers do it wrong. They go poach and like, I'm the best,
Yeah. See,
right?
that I don't like. To
Yeah.
me, I feel like the one thing that really stood out about you is that I felt like you weren't like pressuring me to join you.
Right.
And that's my biggest thing. I mean, as an agent, like, I just don't like when people come and tell me, hey, like, you should join me because A, B, and C. No, how about like you get to know me first? We talk about me first and then, we get into business. Like that's how it is. Like
Yep.
there's one specific brokerage that I'm not going to say any names that I interviewed with. The guy talked the entire hour that I was sitting down for a
Jeez.
meeting about his story and how he like became who he is now, which good for him. I'm proud of him.
Right.
But like I wasn't there to learn about your story. You
No.
know what I mean? Like I was there to genuinely build a relationship,
Hmm.
tell you who I am as an individual, and see if that was the right place for me, you know?
And I think I've always been pretty laid back with that stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I meet agents, it's really discovering who they are as a person. I can care less what you do with real estate sales because the reality is if you sold 2 deals, right? Now you're selling probably 40 this year,
Yeah.
and to get you from 2 to 40, am I taking full credit for that? No, maybe I tell other people I do, but I don't take full credit for that. But what I take credit of is like how many times have even when we're all at dinner and you're talking about a deal that you can't get done, I'm like, no, 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 you can get that done. Here's how you do it. And you're like, Cody, that's genius, right?
It's happened multiple times
Multiple
where I
times.
literally feel like I have a closed door and Cody will literally be like, no, but if you do X, Y, and C, you could try to save the deal.
Mhm.
And I think that's one thing that I have learned about being at My Good Agent is that there's no closed doors until there's an actual closed door. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
you can't just shut the door
No,
immediately. You have to find a way around. There's ways around anything.
exactly. And I will say, and I'm going to put my own ego on this, is I take over deals for agents. So
Yeah.
I will take that deal for you. I don't even take a larger split. I just say, listen, let me get involved. Let me talk to the attorneys. Let me talk to the listing agent because a lot of times there are ways to navigate that deal to the closing table. We're just not thinking outside the box,
100%.
right? And the thing is, I've done so much business that I've seen almost every situation. And the thing too is like I'm a little bit more aware of things, right? I
Yeah.
get deeper into like the laws. I go and sit at attorneys' offices and I pick attorneys' brains. And I've done that since I got into the real estate business. My first closing as an agent, I sat with the attorney for 4 hours. And I was sitting there going, hey, I'm new. Can I pick your brain before I got there an hour before the client did and 2 hours after the client left? Because
Yeah.
yeah, I
That's
want
how you learn.
that's how you learn. And the attorney was so nice. And you know what? I don't even remember her name. It, it was a one and I've never used her again. It was my client's attorney. Kind of upsets me a little bit because I feel like I should have nurtured that relationship a little better. Because at the end of the day, like she taught me so much in that 4 hours, and I was blown away. And I wish I created that better relationship. So, but but to go back to like the broker support and things like that. So like when you came in, we're talking about like it's a very low pressure system, right?
Yep.
I'm low pressure as it is.
Yep.
I don't push sales. We're not a sales driven company. Like I'm more about like vibes.
100%. I think definitely one thing that I really, really like that I didn't really see because I can't experience that, from a conversation and tell you, I like your vibes or whatever. But I feel like as I came onto the brokerage and time went by, I started to really realize that you're the type of person that says, Jess, I have these leads. do what you need to do with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you need help, reach out, and it's up to me to reach out to you
Hmm.
rather than you spoon feed me and say, hey, here are these leads. You need to do X, Y, and Z. Like, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? And that's something that I really like. And honestly, I feel like shaped me to who I am now.
Yeah. Well, another thing I do with that too, and I think you can speak for this, is I'm not the type to coddle and I'm very direct. So if you fail at those leads, I don't go and chase those leads.
Nope.
I don't chase you for them. I go, oh, you messed up? Cool. Do it better next time.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of people appreciate that because, and I think this is a big reason why we have such high retention at our company is because agents are like, wow, Cody's a dick, but what he's saying makes sense. And a lot of times they're like, I realize, and it was funny, they'll come up to me and go, I was talking to another agent on our office, and I realized after talking to the agent that you're a nice guy, but you're very, very, very direct.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't handle that until they realize that I'm doing it for the best of them, you
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
And I think for you, because you're kind of more on the emotional side of things,
100%.
I think in the beginning you couldn't handle that a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's probably why you're looking at other brokerages. Because you're like, wow, like Cody's being mean, right?
Yeah, like you're the type of person that you just have to like crack the shell
Yeah,
to really get to know you. I think you definitely give a different perception of who you are on social media versus who you truly really are. I mean, now I'm very close to you. I
right.
think we've developed a friendship at this point.
Exactly.
You, me, Jody, Joey, and I really like that. I
Right.
think that I talked a little too soon.
Yeah, I mean, most people do, and everybody comes around to it, like the thing is like when you've built a business from the ground up, just like you have, just like I have, you take a little bit more, not pride is a good word, but I think you take it more personal than someone that maybe handed the business or grew up with more money. Like,
Yeah.
like when you grow up basically kind of poor, like I did, you take a lot of those things personal. Like, and
You're proud of it.
you're proud of it, right? Exactly. And I think more people need to be prouder and take that ownership and hold on to it, right? So, I think a lot of times too, for you, like when you transition to Healdsman Homes, your biggest thing was, and s- speak for me if I'm wrong, is like you were just like, listen, I just need to learn. That's it.
Yeah.
Like whatever you could teach me, teach me. And the one thing that I think we do very well in this company is we unintentionally teach people because we'll even have conversations with random realtors out in the field and we're talking, they go, wait, I didn't know you could do that. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're just shooting the shit, right?
Yeah.
And you've developed a lot because now you went, I think your first full year with us you did almost 6 million.
I did pretty good. Yeah, I know.
That was
I
your
know.
best year.
I was very impressed because I was a full-time nurse.
Yep.
I was a part-time realtor. I did like pretty good for part-time real estate, but I definitely feel like it was the change of coming into a place where I felt like I had support.
Hmm.
I felt like I could call you and say, Cody, listen, I'm running late on my shift. Can you please go show this?
Yep.
Or John, hey, I have a question about this. I think that's what made the difference for me. And
Yep.
that's what, in like when I first interviewed with you, I told you that's what mattered the most for me. Communication, to be able to text you, to be able to call you and
Yep.
pick your brain.
No one does it better.
I
No
agree.
one, no one does broker communication better than my good agent. I can sell my soul on that
Yeah.
nobody does it better because let's be real, it's kind of unhuman.
It's a little concerning when you're when you're glued to your phone 24/7 like Cody.
Yeah.
I mean, this man literally will pick up his phone every 2 seconds and he'll pick up the call. He does not care. Like I'll be having a conversation with Cody, he'll be like, "Just 1 minute, gotta pick up the phone." So,
Yeah, we do it the best. I mean, and the thing is too is like I think the best part about it is, and a lot of people are like, oh, like how can you handle that? The reality is the reason why we can handle it is because we're such a collaborative brokerage that like everybody is literally helping everybody. There's no competition,
yep,
right?
I can vouch for that.
that is like reality in our
Yeah.
company, and from Connecticut to Florida, and so on. Like
Yeah.
everybody is just so in tune with everybody. And like I said, it's all about the vibes, right? We don't want people to join this company that don't fit in, because if you don't fit in with us, it's because you're doing things wrong in a bad sense, in an evil sense.
Yeah.
And I don't like evil vibes.
No, here.
No, they're not allowed. So, all right. So your first full year, you did almost 6 million, which was your best year in real estate.
Yeah.
But that's only because the years after you got deeper into nursing,
Yeah.
and you were like, yeah. And I was telling you, just quit nursing, quit nursing. I was
Me at least like 50 times.
a
You were
day.
like, just do it. Just do it. I'm like, I can't. Because again, like, I feel like I was into that perception of like, I went to school for 4 years. I might as well just finish off what I started. But I think slowly I started to realize that, 12-hour shifts were not for me. They didn't really give a crap about me
Let's be
at a
real
nine
too.
to five, you know what I mean? Like, and having to ask somebody for permission to go travel was just not my thing.
And that's another thing. I traveled a lot, right? And I was like, Jess, look, I'm in California today. Oh, Jess, I'm in Vegas today, right? And I'm like, that was the whole thing, was I was trying to push on you that like you can have this freedom. You're
Yeah.
doing the business, right? You're very smart. You invested young. You know how to save money. You're not a big spender, right? You bought a Tesla, which I don't want to talk about, but listen, I don't think electric vehicles are the smartest purchase. But at the end of the day, like you were getting very deep into nursing, and I'm like, just stop, just get into real estate full time, get into real estate. But then you're like, oh, I'm going back to school. I'm like, for what?
I
For what?
I just felt like it took me a little while to kind of realize that, I did nursing for, I want to say almost 3 full years. I was in nursing and I slowly started to go to part-time, and then I slowly went per diem. Then I was,
Hey, by the way,
no, I didn't.
yeah, she did.
I was working like maybe once every month or so,
Guys,
little by little.
no. You told me, you kept telling me, yeah, I quit. And then I'd be like, her phone would go right to voice. I'm like, she's at the hospital right now. I'm like, I can't with this girl. I'm like, and at this point, I was like trying to feed you business because we were getting so busy. We only had 8 agents. So I had all this business on top of it. I did like 20 million myself that year on and off the MLS. So again, all you MLS chasers, I did 10 million on the MLS and everything else was off MLS. I'm off market king. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's good.
Really am. But, so like we had all this business and I was like chasing it. I'm like, who else can I chase that's actually producing? And, all of our other 7 agents were very part-time. They had full-time jobs. I knew if I unlocked that, getting you out of nursing, it was a home run.
Yeah.
But you suck at leads.
I am not the greatest at converting leads. We spoke about this
Yeah.
so
No,
many
listen,
times.
this transparency, right?
I personally just feel like I'm better at SOI.
You
I'm
are
better at
100%.
I like building that relationship versus leads, and I think we've, both encountered that. I just am not the greatest at that, and you've trained me a million times, and it's just not, I'm not going to say that I'm never going to do it because I feel like a good agent always does anything,
Good agent.
my good agent. But it's definitely something that I like have to work on. And I feel like that's when I realized that, I mean, I love nursing and I love all my friends and everybody, but it felt like I just couldn't really grow much more.
Right.
There wasn't much more growth for me versus with, real estate. Like the possibilities are endless. You can invest,
So
you can
much.
do this, you can do that. And don't get me wrong, like I know nurses that are investors, I know doctors that are investors, but it just felt like I had financial freedom. I was able to travel, things like that. And that to me was a lot more important because you're only young so long. You know what I mean? Like I want to live life. I want to travel. I want to,
Unless you're me, I'm always young.
unless it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was more important to me.
Right. So, and you finally did take the leap of faith, and you're like, all right, I'm going, because I called you out. I'm like, you're not full time. You're not full. You were going in for, yeah.
I know.
And you finally did it, and you know, you kind of went down in real estate because you did 6 million that year as a very part-time agent, and then you did like 4 million, right?
Yes, but it's because I was pregnant and I had a baby.
No, 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 no. That was the year after.
No,
That was
that was last year, I think.
no, that was the year after. It was the year after. Your biggest year, you did almost 6 million.
And that's crazy because I was full-time nursing.
You were full-time nursing.
I was
I think I,
sleep.
but it was during COVID. So
Yeah.
obviously, so
Yeah, that's
listen, you survived COVID as a COVID agent.
yeah.
Okay, that's for one. Go Jess. You survived COVID as a disease. I like saying that twice because I did that in the last podcast. But so you survived COVID, and the reality is you you're still doing it, and you're now this is gonna be your biggest year ever. You've already closed for over 3 million, and you're on track to probably hit 7 to 10 million this year,
I really hope so.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, Jess.
Yeah.
Right?
To be fair, last year was my first year that I was full-time in real estate. I had nothing to do with nursing. But you know, I did have the baby and I was
That was your
pregnant.
lowest year.
I think that was my lowest.
You did three-ish million, but
Points up, yeah.
you were traveling a little more.
I was traveling. Oh, you know what? Maybe that like 2 years ago was when I had the wedding and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it.
I don't know. It don't matter. The reality is like you're in full gear now.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to worry about nursing. You're balancing the baby, which you have a very supportive husband that helps bigly with that, right? He's a huge support system. But you're going to do 7 to 10 million this year. I know it. But how do we get you from 7 to 10 million to 20 million? And I think that's where we have to sit down and teach you how to do leads, right?
Yeah.
Jess needs to learn leads, guys.
Yeah.
It's not that you need to learn leads. It's look, SOI is a lot easier to nurture because they're people they're people that already trust you.
Yeah.
Leads don't know who you are.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing about both is the SOI just comes out more natural.
Sure.
I can talk to them, you know, majority of them speak Spanish, so I can communicate with them versus a lead. You're right, it's a stranger on the internet. They just don't know, never met them. You don't know what that interaction's gonna be like. So I 100% agree.
You don't know their mannerisms.
Yeah.
You don't know how they react to things. You don't know how emotional they are.
Yeah.
There's a lot more involved, and it takes a lot more effort. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Doing sales for family members is the worst.
It's hard.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
And I love all you guys out there, all my family members watching this. You guys suck.
I can definitely I could piggyback on that. I mean, I love all my family members too, but I've actually had very close family members use other realtors, which at first really hurt.
I actually prefer that.
Really?
I do. I want them to, but I'd ask that they let me connect them so I can get the referral fee.
Yeah.
Which they never do. But and the reason why I say is, and again, love my family, but they're my hardest sales. Because they can bully you more, right?
Yeah.
They know where they could push your limits.
Yeah.
And they know you're not going to react back a certain way because it's your family.
Push you as far as they can. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And I would say all my hardest sales were family members, including my brother, because my brother is a special case. He probably will. I mean, he's basically retired at 30, so
that's nice.
He got a lot of time on his hands. Well, he was a developer for Roblox.
Yeah.
So I mean, guys got the life now, right?
That's really cool.
I just went to the wrong field apparently. But family's tough, and obviously you do a lot of it. I haven't done family sale in a while. Actually, my last few family that bought I nurtured for 2 years and they went and bought with somebody else. It's kind of messed up. But you know what? It's probably better off. Yeah. But here's how I look at it too. They did like 4 or 5 transactions, and that's like $30,000 out of my pocket. So and like I get it. Maybe you don't want to work with family, but same time, like I'm trying to grow a business, right? You're trying to grow a business. $30,000? It's a lot of money.
100%. I agree with you. I'm very emotional. I think we've already established that. And I was I was, happy for them
Hmm.
because it's
Sure,
a
it's a
huge
big moment.
accomplishment.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for going out and doing something out of your comfort zone.
right.
But I was also tiny bit sad, just a tiny bit sad, that, I'm growing a business and I felt like you could support me by helping me, helping put my name out there, helping me get that sale,
Right.
helping me get into those areas in Stanford, Norwalk. But you know what? Things happen for a reason.
Yep.
And, I still love them to death and I'm very proud of them and I'm happy for them. At
Yeah,
the end of the day, I congratulated them. I said, congratulations.
big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what? And all you could do for them going forward is support whatever they need you to
Yeah.
support them on.
Yeah.
And you know what? They may down the road be like, hey, I'm gonna sell, I'll use you. Maybe they realized maybe they had to go through the transaction with somebody else to see what it was like.
Yeah, you're right. We don't know what really went on backstage,
Well,
but I completely agree with you. I think things happen for a reason and, no hard feelings.
I think too, family members are probably a little embarrassed about their financial situations.
Could be,
You
yeah,
know,
definitely. Definitely.
money saved, credit scores, debt. Those are all very personal things that we have access to as realtors, because we're licensed to have access to it. And you
Yeah.
talk about it. We need to know your financial situations to buy a house.
Yeah.
So family members they're probably like, yeah, like I don't, maybe don't, they're like, I don't really want to share that information with my cousin or my brother or whoever, right?
Yeah.
And
That's very true. I
that,
never saw it in that like aspect, but you're very right. Yeah. We
I,
do see a lot of their personal stuff.
we do, and that's probably the biggest piece,
Yeah.
right? And they're probably just like, listen, because they'll be like, oh, my credit's a 580. I don't want, I'm telling everybody in the family. Well, guess what? If I tell everyone in the family, report my license,
Yeah.
because I have a business to do. When we have business, business is business, and family is family.
I always say business and family are completely different. And when I have a family friend or somebody that I know, I never share anything.
No,
It's always just a conversation between you and I, everything's confidential. And, I just share when you bought your house. Hey, so and so bought this house, we just sold it or whatever it might be. I agree with you, very personal information.
it's what is like your biggest accomplishment
Um,
besides having a baby?
so it's having
Let's talk about business. Yeah, business.
my biggest accomplishment in real estate has definitely been, um, I feel like helping a lot of the Latino community kind of obtain that American dream, which you come to this country, you are here for a reason,
Right.
you want to own a house, and it's a hard thing to do. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like it's not like you can just go to the store and give them $5 and say, hey, like give me a house. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's big amounts.
You're gonna be the leader of our Latin division, right?
Would be the leader of the.
I have to throw digs in here and there, right?
No, I agree.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
So I think that has been my biggest accomplishment, like
Yeah.
really being able to help, especially those families that will come to me and say, hey, like I really want to buy a house and they have no education
Right.
as to what they need. I've had leads that I've like nurtured for a year, 2 years, helping them with, hey, it's tax season. Here's your reminder. Make sure, things are done correctly. Go
Right.
to this person. And I think that to me is 100% very important and my biggest accomplishment.
Right. Exactly. So that's great. Um, where do you see yourself in the next few years in real estate?
Hopefully growing.
Hmm.
Hopefully, the numbers look a little bit better, but I think most importantly, I really want to be well known around the Latino community. I want to be known for somebody who has helped, for somebody that can really educate because a lot of us don't have that education.
I think for you in this business, your next move is to get more dominant on social media.
100%.
Obviously, like we've gotten more prominent in real estate. I don't know why I keep saying real estate. I'm really tired. More prominent on Instagram recently, and we've seen a huge growth as a company. But like, I want to help the agents like do more with it. But I'm tired of seeing like the over polished social media. I want to see more of the authentic stuff, right? And I think that's where we're doing very well. And what, like with your videos, my videos, Ariel's, whatever agent's doing videos and putting out content, I feel like a lot of it is a lot more authentic than the polished stuff where it looks like a commercial. And I think, companies put out this polished stuff because they think that's what people want to see. But when I compare views of like one of our more polished videos compared to like more of our authentic videos, more authentic content is getting a lot more views and a
It
lot more
stands
shares.
out.
It does.
I think everybody does the typical, day in the life of a realtor or just sold this house. I think people want to see something that's different.
While Cody's on the internet blasting people.
Yeah, that's just Cody.
Yeah. Well, look, at the end of the day, what I like about our company is we are very transparent. And, a lot of what we do is we're like, listen, we're just here to sell houses. We're here to help people with the American dream. And it doesn't need to be dirty. It doesn't need to be salesy. It doesn't need to be scummy. It needs to just be, hey, we're here to help you. We're here to educate you. That's it.
At the end of the day, I think my biggest takeaway is definitely like it's about who you know sometimes. You want to build those relationships. You never know when they might need somebody who speaks Spanish or whatever the case might be. You know what I mean? Like it's building relationship with other professionals. It's, gaining their trust. I have, agents that will literally text me, "Hey, I have this coming soon. Like, you have anybody?" Like that to me is great. You know what I mean? Like it shows that they trust me. They know, it's a reputation.
It is. This business is all about reputation.
Yeah.
So I think, your goal now is to obviously you want to grow a team. You want to get more into the development side of the brokerage. Obviously, we're growing tremendously. And as we keep growing, more opportunities are going to arise for people within the company. I'm all about empowering people that have been with me from the beginning, right? So you've been with me from the beginning. John's been with me from the beginning. Few other people have been here for years. And um, I think the biggest thing for us is we're just doing it a little bit different. And you're doing it different. I'm doing it different. Everyone's doing a little different. And it's so fun. you know,
Yes, it's fun.
we have such a good time with what we're doing. We go to Chili's every week.
Every Wednesday. Wednesday is our chill day.
That's our Chili's day.
We go to Chili's.
The Chili's. I love Chili's. Future CEO.
Future CEO of
I'm
Chili's.
gonna run CEO. Listen, I'm gonna put this out here. If this goes viral, great. But Chili's, listen to me, okay? You guys are leaving so much money on the table by not incorporating the office into the menu. With like the chili, the blooming onion, and Kevin's chili, all these things, man. I just want to get into Chili's marketing division and be like, listen, I can like boost your sales by 1,000%. Give me 10 minutes. I go to Chili 6 times a week. I know the ins and outs of that menu.
Cody, I kid you not. We go to Chili's and someone always knows Cody at every location, like
Every little
East Haven, Milford, literally.
even
They'll be like,
Florida.
"Do you want the regular?" I'm like, "Okay, Cody. Okay." They already know exactly who he is, what he's coming for, what day he comes, what time he comes. Like they just know.
I just know. Yeah. I used to literally go every day, and
Interesting.
the one in Milford, and the waitress that worked there, um, she'd bring out my drink, she'd bring out my appetizer, like,
We were there with you a couple weeks ago and she knew everything.
yeah,
Like she was like, "Do you want the usual?" Okay, Cody.
yeah.
She knew everything. The drink choice, what you were gonna get. No, that is so funny.
Chili's is the greatest restaurant in America. I don't care what anyone says. Listen, I'll choose Chili's over a fancy steakhouse any day, any single day.
Honestly, me too. Their margaritas are $5. They have the monthly. No, is it $6 now?
Yeah,
$6 now.
for you, it only takes $5 to get you drunk.
I completely agree. Literally one margarita, it'll be like not even like a little sip like this.
You're such a
Like
lightweight. And the funny part is, like, I don't even really drink, so like I can probably drink 10 before I get drunk. And like,
not.
but see, like, alcohol mellows me. So like if I drink like 5, 10, whatever it is, I mellow out.
No, not I.
No, you don't.
Not I.
No, no, no.
My family knows literally. Like came back from vacation, and I had probably a cup like this big of like what they call caipirinha in
Yep.
Brazil. I was so drunk at the beach over like a little cup like this. My mom was like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm
Yeah.
like,
Maybe it's a placebo effect. Maybe you
could
think
be.
maybe
Maybe I think I'm drunk and I'm
maybe
not drunk, but it
it,
happens everywhere I go. I mean, I'll have like a little sip and I'll be like, guys, like I feel drowsy.
I don't really drink anymore. I haven't had a drink in probably over a year. And the thing is like for me, it's not because I can't handle it. I don't really drink like that anyways. I've never been a big drinker, but I just think it's overpriced.
Yeah.
I think it's a waste of money. I think it tastes nasty. It does nothing for me. It honestly don't even get me drunk. Like I could keep drinking and
Just
drinking.
gets bloated.
It gets me bloated or it just mellows me out. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
time for bed. How many times have we all gone out and I would drink and I'm just like,
I think maybe I saw you drink once.
I just don't drink that much. But when we did go out years ago, I would drink with you guys and I'm like, all right, I'm ready for bed.
You know, it's considered an antidepressant.
Is it?
Yeah.
Jesus, we don't want any.
That's how you go. As
Really?
soon as you stop drinking, you kind of start hitting.
Good thing I'm not depressed anymore.
A lot of people don't know that, but that's why you have to keep drinking to keep going up. Otherwise, you start kind of heading down, which explains probably why you feel.
Maybe. I don't know. But all right. Well, listen. Obviously, you got a lot going on. Your career is booming. Let's end this one on a high. What is one piece of advice you can give anybody listening to this? It could be about real estate, it could be about life, it could be about motherhood, it could be anything.
I want to choose life in general. I think don't be afraid to try new things. I never thought I would like real estate. I absolutely love it. I'm very passionate about it. And if only my dad, he's the one that pushed me into this and I love it. So definitely try everything. You gotta don't lay all your eggs in one basket. Try different things. You never know what you're gonna like.
Yep.
Right. So that would be my biggest piece of advice in life.
Awesome. Well, Jess, that was episode 3. Let's get it. Awesome.